Hey class, let's talk competition. All right, so as I've said earlier in my lectures, competition is everywhere, just like dead people in Sixth Sense. No, but it reality is it's there, and you want to make sure that you kind of keep in mind and keep an idea for that portion of it. A lot of times, students get kind of encapsulated into this strategy that if the company's not directly exactly the same thing as me, then they're not exactly competition. That would pretty much that's a ridiculous statement. You have to look at the entirety of the marketplace because everything is competition. If you're in the entertainment industry, whether or not it's doing gaming, whether or not it's doing bowling, whether or not it's arcades, it makes no difference. Those are all options for consumers to make choices for what they're going to do that night. Same thing with restaurants. Just because you sell, let's say you open a sushi place, doesn't mean that you're just competing with other sushi places. You're competing with every restaurant because consumers have variety and options to make choices. And, just because you offer a very specific genre of food or genre of experience doesn't necessarily mean that the competition isn't offering something completely different. It's still a variety of what you can potentially be doing. And I joke about this all the time as far as teleportation, back to the future, time travel stuff. All of these things, even if they were in existence and they were the first of their kind, they would still have to deal with some type of competition. Granted, they do have a corner in the market and a very specific way of doing it. There's other methods of people doing things. You think of any new technology that's pretty much prevalent in the world today. Almost all of us have a cell phone. It's a general statement, but it's mostly true. Everybody has a cell phone in some way, shape, or form. Most likely a smartphone. That wasn't always the case. And does that mean that the first cell phone creators, the Motorola's, Nokia's, they were had the cornerstone of that market? No, they still had to deal with regular telephone industries and regular people doing normal things like pagers and things of that nature. Were those obsolete and eventually got pushed out? Yes, but they still were competition when they entered in. And those organizations and companies that were going into this new threshold had to make sure that they were competing directly and had something that can counteract the current competition hold. If they just went blindly and said, hey, we have a new product that most people don't have, so we can just be here and be successful, and you're going to get screwed. Your competition is going to figure out a way to circumvent you or innovate around you, and you can't be that way. Just because you're the first of the scene does not mean you're always going to be the best either. All right, Facebook was not the first social network, and it won't be the last. So don't ever think that just because you're first on the scene or you might have a cornerstone that you have some kind of up on your competition, or that you don't think about your competition. I joke about I don't joke, but I talk seriously to students about when they're talking about almost every semester I have a student want to make a game cafe in some way, shape, or form. Don't do that. It's a terrible business model, okay? But if you do decide to do that and you open it in an area that you think you can thrive, not saying it won't, but it's a high probability of failure. I'm just saying. But let's say you do open it and you're like, okay, well, I'm the only gaming place in my town, so I got no problems. I'm gonna be, it's gonna be gangbusters. People are just be flooding in because there's nowhere else people could do these things. Wrong. Just because you're offering a specific entertainment-based service doesn't mean that your consumers have other options. They can play games at home. They can go to an arcade style, like a Main Event or Dave & Buster's or something with Mavericks. They can do something of that nature. They can go do something completely different. They can do indoor skydiving. They can go indoor rock climbing. They can go for a hike. There's a million things people can do that doesn't revolve around your specific entertainment need in the showcase. Just because you're offering something that others don't doesn't necessarily mean that you have a leg up on the competition. It just means that you're offering something that is unique to that area. And that could be a draw. But don't for 1 second think like, oh, I don't have competition because nobody else can go do these things anywhere else but where I am. Yeah, but they can do other things. And so they have choices. It's never apples to apples with competition. That'd be like, well, we could just use fruit analogies too, but that's going to go down a rabbit hole. But people have choices, and so you have to be illicit to. You have a wide range of competition and things out there, and consumers have choices. This is America. There's choice everywhere. Competition is prevalent in all facets. I don't care what you decide to make or what you decide to do. You have competition. There is no such thing as an organization starting and having a complete no competition setup. There's something people are doing right now. When automobiles came out for the first point in time, they were the first that type of transportation. Didn't mean people didn't have other means of doing it. You can simply always walk, take a bike, horse and buggy, whatever. There's still options. So just don't pigeonhole yourself and close-mind yourself into thinking, oh, I'm unique and there's nobody else out there like me. That doesn't matter. You still need to put in the work. You still need to outwork your competition. You still need to show your uniqueness, your innovativeness, and draw people in. You still have to cater to your consumers. They still have to have great experience. It all matters in the grand scheme of things. So keep that in mind.